Hi guys, this is Jayanam and today I will show you how to texture a Hardsurface Blender model using Substance Painter. So here we are in Blender 2.8 and the model, you can see this here in edit mode, has quite a few n-gons and it has two materials assigned. A dark material for these parts, and for these faces here I assigned a different material that are called light steel. As I mentioned, here we have some n-gons, which are alright for hard surface models. Also great for modeling. I could for example press the I key and add an inset and then move this by pressing the E key to the inside. But you could run into problems when you are texturing this. Not in the most cases, but to be on the safe side you could triangulate the model, and I will show you what I do before I export this. I go here to the modifiers tab. Here you can see the bevel modifier. And below this modifier I add a new modifier, and this is called Triangulate. And this turns the n-gons into triangles. I will show you what it does exactly after exporting this. You will see this in Substance Painter. Okay, but now we go ahead and unwrap the mesh. To do this I go to edit mode and select all, and then I press U and choose Smart UV Project. This is a shortcut for lazy people. It kind of works, but there are better ways to do this, and this is a manual unwrapping where you have the choice to set the seams to optimize the shading, but I will show this in the next part. Now we go with that Smart UV Project and then we export the mesh. I showed this exporting as FBX many times. You go to File, Export, FBX, export the selected objects only. We are exporting the mesh. You can apply the transform, but in this case it doesn't matter, but be sure to apply the modifiers. That's important, because then the beveling and the triangulation is done. We don't need to bake animations. Yeah, and then we can export it and open Substance Painter. This is the latest version of Substance Painter, and we can select the smart materials because we will need them in a moment. And now go ahead and create a new project and select the FBX that we exported. I don't check any of these options. There is an option to auto UV unwrap. I tried this for this model, but I didn't get that good results. The seams were set at edges where it is not desired, so I couldn't go with that option, at least for this mesh. Now press OK and the model is imported. Alright, here it is, looks good, and on the right side in the texture sets you can see we have two of them, because for each material that we have in Blender a texture set is created by Substance Painter. This is not always what you want, but I will show you how to work around this in the next part. You see the mesh is triangulated, and now I could add the materials, but before I do this I will bake the mesh maps. These are maps like position, ambient occlusion, the normal maps. I can define the resolution for these maps. I choose 2K, I don't need an ID map, and then I bake for all the texture sets. You see this here in the dialog. The two texture sets are taken into account, the light steel and the dark steel. Then we can press OK and we are ready to add, for example, smart materials to the different texture sets. Now let's see what we have. We could use this steel paint and drag it directly onto the mesh, and it recognizes that it has to add this to the dark steel texture set. And you see the shading is alright. Here at these round parts on the front side I see some small, very tiny artifacts. But as I said, this can be optimized with a manual UV unwrapping that I will show in the next part. Now let's drag a different steel material onto the other part, and this also seems to shade nicely. What you can do then, and this is something I really like in Substance Painter, is to add some post-processing effects. First I enable the visibility of the environment and add some light shadows. Then I rotate the environment a bit. This can be done, by the way, by pressing the Shift key and the right mouse button and then moving the mouse. And after that I activate Postprocessing and add Glare, which is a bloom effect, then Vignette and a temporal anti-aliasing. Okay, now let's have a look at the UV map. You can activate the 2D and 3D view at a time here in Substance Painter. And here you can see the UV map for the light steel, and this is the one for the dark steel. And the first thing for the light steel that you notice is that this is a lot of space wasted. But why is it like that? Here's the UV map in Blender for the whole mesh. Here are the islands for the light steel and the others are for the dark steel. It is not the nicest UV map because it is auto-generated, but the problem is that each material gets an own texture set in Substance Painter, and the result is that you have to use two materials in your engine, and I guess you don't want this. In the next part I will show you how to solve this problem. Guys, I hope you liked this tutorial for Blender and Substance Painter for hard surface models. If you do, then don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. Follow me on my Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, support me by being my patron, this would be great, and I see you in the next one on this channel on Jayanam.